to the next week of Esports Collegiate Overwatch. Today we have NIU Esports taking on Kent State, and honestly, I think we could be looking at a potential Match of the Year candidate on our hands. But as you can see from the chat for a brief second, it is not a fierce rivalry between these two teams. Respectful rivalry, yes, but it is incredibly respectful. So we're going to start off on Nepal, and as I've heard some rumors, and the rumors are true. So it will be a brawl mirror. So I mean, no surprise. The thing that to note to our viewers today is NIU and Kent State have played each other many times this year already as scrim partners. So before each esports collegiate match, or most of the esports collegiate matches, Northern Illinois has actually played Kent State. So these two are very familiar with their play styles, and I'm interested to see where it all comes together.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to see brawl. I feel like that's the most healthy comp. I don't know. I mean, that might be a hot take, but I feel I love seeing brawl.
I love if there's one comp I want to see mirrored, it's brawl. But see the Ryan battle coming out. I think not the first time, but one of the first times you're actually going to see the Reinhardt from Razor here, and micro play is so important in these brawl comps. The difference between a wall could be the difference between a won and lost fight. And the boop from Hayes gets Alucard, and the advantage goes to NIU. Kent State actually rotating on enemy side. So NIU in a very good position. The wall splits off the Ryan and the May. Pin does find Hayes though. Wild Thing able to get two actually. NIU not there to back it up, but a pin does find the tank trade flip flop, finding Scamman Sean on the bat mirror. And it looks like disaster narrowly averted for NIU, but the respawns for Kent State are going to be coming in nice. But with Vortex down, I think Kent State's going to regroup and go in as 5.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a good old brawl. I mean, I think that Lucio pick, Hayes got was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. That boop instantly makes it a 4-on-5, especially the main source of damage, Alucard on the Cassidy. So now looking to work with some kind of a shatter, as well as the window trying to poke in damage. Kent State opting to just kind of
play it out, play the timer,
So you get some time and fire up with a window of their own. That fire strike, lethal went through the window, but you have one lane to work with.
Shatter
potentially coming in, and
on the wrong side though.
Lets the shield go down at the last second. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna see. I mean, that's my favorite part about these mirror matchups is the Ryan battle. So much gets dictated by that, because one Earth Shatter is gonna turn an entire team fight your way. This Racer, unfortunately, on the losing end of that duel. But a Blizzard to work with, and these brawl comps, but Kent State keeping up the tempo. They're the ones that's going to use the Blizzard first, and that's going to make the difference here.
Ooh, good shield.
A pick. Only Flawless is able to be. Only Flawless gets picked off from the Blizzard, but Alucard finds 3 of their own. And it's back to the drawing board for the Huskies.
Yeah, I mean, even though NIU did lose 2 fights in a row, we still do have point advantage. So, good lead from NIU. But really got to turn some stuff around
Going
here.
to the next fight. Kent State, no ultimates. Although High Noon, not an incredibly lethal ult. It can be known to catch a few people off guard, but when you're 2 teams as organized and as optimized as Kent State and NIU, it might be hard to find a pick with the High Noon.
And NIU just vented
Flawless
there.
It gets very close. Flip-Flop actually has to use Immortality early, and Flawless able to find Icarus on the Lucio. Trades back and forth on both sides, but the pin does find Flip-Flop and only leaves Lucio heals. Lucio in general, and smart decision from Hayes just to reset. If you're NIU, you have 1, potentially 2 more fights to turn things around.
Yeah, I do see Racer though is getting really close to his ult. Like we saw before, that Earth Shatter just changed everything. So I'm really hoping to see another just change. We call them fatty shatties where I come from.
Trademarked. The window, and he's going to speed and push past it. Oh, Flawless with the headshot on Scatman Shaw. The main source of heals going out.
Oh, big!
Racer, the boop off. And looks like they're going to be able to take this point with just the 1 ultimate.
Almost snipes him.
Great play. Lucio stalls, not for much longer. NIU going to take it as the Overwatch timer starts. So NIU have to take the next 2 fights here in order to get the point, but with the ultimates they have and the ultimates they have coming up for the fight afterwards, it is incredibly possible. So this fight, you're looking at Reinhardt, Shatter, and Window. NIU, speaking of Window last play, just ignoring the Window, speeding right past it, essentially negating an entire ultimate just from movement ability is incredible. So Flip-Flop trying to not to make the same mistake, puts their Window far away, kind of puts Kent State in a rough position. So they're going to opt to do it, to kite the Window again. So no picks this map from Flip-Flop with the Window, but quite a bit of percentage. The High Noon finding, the Shatter is huge, is the follow-up there. The May Wall makes things a little tricky. And the Blizzard is hopefully big. The High Noon get the frozen targets. Racer, Anto-Control finds the pick on their counterparts. And Kent State don't touch.
Yeah, I mean, you see Flawless, you know, going for the Deadeye, and he had several targets, but he just killed him before he could ult.
Yeah, he had the May on May pick and the Rhine on Rhine pick, and I mean, that was enough to force Kent State off point when they needed the touch. So NIU getting a very hard-fought .1. Well, to see, I don't expect to see any comp changes. This, out of all the, Nepal is a very brawl-heavy map, especially with this meta, but this point especially. Well, actually, okay. Surprise. Oh. So we see a Reaper, so there's going to be a lot more close quarter fighting from NIU. They're going to use the Sim TP to get an early advantage, beat things in. Swap back to Reaper.
NIU's going straight to point.
So NIU going to take it straight to point, while Kent State's going to opt for a bit of a high ground approach. So NIU's going to have that point in presence early. They're going to have some cover to work with. Going to force Kent State to play their game. The Vortex May is putting a great amount of pressure on this front line. Flawless, find Alucard on the flank, and that opens up the door. Potentially find one more. The May wall. Flawless in a bit of trouble, but manages to get out. Hayes taken down by the Reinhardt pin, but that cost Wild Thing their life. And NIU going to take this one.
NIU just taking turns throwing shots right there. Just one after one.
So we didn't see it on stream, but yeah, interesting to see the pin from Wild Thing did get the pick onto Hayes, but allowed them to be very vulnerable to focus fire, which NIU has proven to be very good at. So Kent State looking to ditch that high ground approach, trying to take something more to point. They're very coordinated with that Lucio speed, taking minimal poke, so full resources here on point. Alucard takes down the Immortality. Racer follows. Poco Toro.
Big picks.
Kent State, and that's the thing with these brawl comps. Everything kind of flashes by in an instant. Unlike the comps that we've seen the last few weeks, there's some time to kind of process things of picks, but with the brawl comp and everyone being right in each other's faces, don't be surprised to see 2 or 3 eliminations happening within a second of each other. It's an incredibly fast-paced comp. It's a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing. Personally, I do like the brawl comps because
I think everyone does.
As a Lucio player, it makes things a bit easier when you're all in the same place. But the excellent coordination from Kent State, popping that window, and the Fire Strike immediately after. If that Fire Strike's hit anyone. Flawless with the 3K, almost looked like 0. Ended up turning, actually no, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is a 2K. 3 if you count the Immortality field, but
I see a team kill right there.
I know, almost looked like a 0K, but that Immortality coming down at the last second. Kent State's health chipping away. So no support ults from Kent State, but they do have a lot of team winning ultimates. I think whichever team commits ultimates first is probably going to be the one that wins this fight.
I mean, NIU does have the slight ult advantage, though.
The Shatter
catches
the Baptiste. Alucard finds 2 with their own Death Blossom. And just like that, the fight turns in favor of Kent State.
Looks like they're going to cap point here. NIU, I mean, they do have the lead again, right? They could just win another fight and bring it right back.
Yeah, it's down but not out for NIU.
Yeah, that's my slogan. I copyrighted that a couple years ago.
Whoops, all right. Oh, looks like I have to pay some royalties. So, Flawless trying to find some kind of opening, put some pressure on, at least create a distraction. The wall doesn't catch anyone out, thankfully. The Blizzard coming out from Kent State. Like I said, those early ultimate usages. The sound barrier from Hayes looks like it might be able to keep everyone except Racer. But Flip-Flop able to find Scatman Sean, so 2 critical parts of each team down for the fight. Flawless falling in the Reaper battle. NIU taking a slow approach, but looks like they just need to disengage here.
getting out of there.
So the window and the beat not enough to turn the fight. We're approaching last fight territory if you're NIU. Be careful. No ultimates from either team, but expect Sound Barrier to come up very soon from Icarus.
Yeah, I mean,
Icarus,
I know
a long tenured player on Kent State too.
Yeah, I mean, we might see an ultimate pop up. I know, especially like Reinhardt. Like Racer's almost there. If he gets this ult in time, it might be huge.
The beat coming out gives Kent State a little bit of invincibility. The Shatter is fairly massive, able to find Alucard, but I think with 3 down on the side of NIU, it'll go in Kent State's favor.
Both teams, one map.
As we said earlier, this game was never going to be easy. I'd be very surprised if we get a 3-0 in either team's direction. So if you're a push fan, I think this is your best odds of seeing some push action.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking pretty balanced among both teams, so. I mean, that's all I got to say. There's not really much else.
Incredibly, I mean, there's a reason they scrim each other every week, is that I do believe Kent State is probably the most closely matched team with NIU as far as skill level goes. Western Michigan, of course, as we saw that Game 5, also incredibly close as well.
Both teams going out here.
So NIU opting back for that Cassidy instead of the Reaper, but Alucard sticking on the Reaper, so a bit of a long range versus close range battle, as long range as you can get with a Brawl comp. The Cassidy does provide a little bit of flexibility as far as your positioning goes. Kent State takes early control of point. It's going to be about these Maywalls. The Maywall does not land, so if Tokotoro can find Maywall onto that Rhine here, this could be exactly what they need to turn this fight in their favor. But Kent State playing so incredibly close together, it's going to be very hard to find that opening. Racer just taking a ton of damage, and the point actually goes towards Kent State, but no picks coming in. I don't think Kent State's going to expect this ultimate to come back that fast, especially with a Fire Strike as good as that. So the Shatter already down, expected to come down.
Oh, it's blocked.
I don't even, that wasn't just I think that was just a read in the charge cancel. You know, the change to Overwatch 2, Ryan can now cancel their charge. So it makes it a lot easier for Ryans to get those environmental kills.
Oh. Oh, there's flip-flop.
Flip-flop making the smart decision, yeah, to reset. That certainly wasn't an accidental slip-up. It's better to just fall off the map rather than give the enemy any ultimate charge.
Just respawn faster, get your team quicker.
So that long fight, Kent State capping things early. They are almost halfway to this point, and the window is going to make things even more difficult for the Huskies. And they're playing incredibly fast. They're not giving NIU a chance to breathe, and that's just another quick fight for Kent State.
NIU is down again. I mean, that was a 20-second fight. I was looking at the timer. We got there about 30 and ended about 50.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to lose a fight, might as well lose it quick. But NIU, with the exception of the Earth Shatter, not incredibly fast to be building these ultimates. Almost up on high noon for the first time. We have window. Beat's still a bit away. But Alucard, Flawless gets found out early from Alucard.
It's going to be a rough pick there.
A good read on NIU, just making the right decision. You're going to have one fight left, whether you take this fight right now or not. So might as well get it in with 5. Hayes going to do the Uber service to get Flawless back.
Uber.
But yeah, Flawless trying to go for that high noon, get some high ground potential, but Alucard read it right there. And the wall is excellent, but the speed gets Flawless in position. And the
what happened there?
The immortality is out from both teams. It's not enough. Beat from Icarus keeps their team up, but all the pressure, and Kent State just playing so close and with such aggression. Looks like we reset already, but we don't get to play the game, but we will be down 0-1 to Kent State. But incredibly close match. I think NIU. I think we're gonna go something very anti-brawl. I think just judging from past experiences, from times watching Kent State both this year and last, they are a very brawl-heavy team. They are incredibly good at other compositions, but when I've seen them play, brawl is their comfort zone. So I think if you're NIU and you look at a map pick, you take them to where they're uncomfortable. Like I said, Kent State just before each fight even starts, like there's no poke phase if you're Kent State. It is instantly engaging. And even NIU, even that, just looking back at that last fight right now, yeah, we did use the ultimate first. They're just so quick to respond. The Maywall comes up to block Flawless from finding anything. Okay, that forces Hayes to use the amp speed, which kind of is part of the reason why we weren't able to touch, because the cooldown was baited, and then just a Wild Thing playing so incredibly close and in your face makes it hard to breathe if you're a Husky. So
It be like that. You know? That's what I say where I come from. Yeah, you could pay for therapy, or you could just say it be like that, you know? Look in the mirror, cold water on the face. And
if you are an NIU student, we do have mental health services offered
that is true.
for free for each student, so we don't want to see anyone going through a rough time out there. But sometimes it generally do be like that.
You know? I just say it to myself all the time, you know? At the slightest inconvenience, it'd be like that.
It'd be like that.
I went to Taco Bell the other day. I'm trying to get myself a crispy taco melt. Machine's broken.
Oh no.
At Taco Bell, how is it broken? It's not the ice cream machine.
It's
Right?
not the McDonald's. No,
And
it's
so
not.
I sat there in my car. I looked at my rearview mirror. I looked at my reflection as a drop of rain ran down my window, and I said it'd be like that. And I got a burrito instead.
So I think there's something bugged with the lobby. I believe we'll be getting it going. Oh, it turns out we accidentally got made a new owner of the game as
We
they're
own
remaking
Overwatch
the
now.
lobby. So it looks like there's some bug. I think that explains the lack of the play of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 'cause things ended, and I was like looking at the score,
Yeah,
and I was like, this
no
is,
fanfare, no play of the game. It's always unfortunate if you miss out on a play of the game, especially in these esports collegiate matches. I know I have most of my esports collegiate play of the games from when I was a player still saved. So
Mhm.
I was correct in my assumption of map pick. So NIU opting for Parizo. So expect to see some Far Mercy play from the Flawless Hayes combo. For sure. Lends itself to a bit more dive, a little more vertical mobility that Brawl doesn't give you.
You know, I feel like I got a love-hate relationship with Pariso. And I feel like there's some aspects I like about it, and there's some aspects just like that initial push after you cap, just that stretch. I feel like it's brutal.
Mm-hmm. It is the first point, certainly on the easier side to take as far as other hybrid maps go, but I think once you get closer and closer to that last point, I don't know if we've seen a full cap in esports collegiate on Parizo yet.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll see it today.
Yeah. Let's hope it's on NIU side.
Yeah, that'd be nice, of course.
I think another thing to take into account here is just experience as far as collegiate plays goes. I know NIU does have a couple returning players, Toko Toro obviously being the longest tenured player in NIU esports, Hayes coming back for her second year, but otherwise it's a new roster. Kent State has had a couple mainstays for a while now. Wild Thing, Vortex, Icarus, Scamachon, all multiple tenured players on Kent State. So they know what it's like to play in ESC, they know what it's like to play collegiate Overwatch, and sometimes there's some intangible assets that come with that. But I think both teams are at such a competitive skill level that it'll of course be more than just collegiate experience that decides who wins this one. But far from over. You see, those who are just tuning in, Kent State got a 2-1 victory on Nepal.
It's like a podcast. For those who are just tuning in, Kent State got a 2-1
For our audio
victory.
listeners out there.
Yeah.
So looks like we're just about ready to get going. Kent State opting to attack first, so they're going to set the bar of how far NIU will have to play.
Good old Pariso. I'd go on vacation here, not gonna lie.
I think anyone would. It's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
Very vertical.
Yeah, I get your steps in for the day. I do like tropical discos. Oh, it's
Our
like-
vinyl.
No shoes, no shirt. Omnics welcome. Love to see it.
We have something for our vinyl lovers in chat.
Yeah. So now here they come.
Yep. A very, very not rush comp. I would describe this comp as one thing. It is not rush. Kent State going for something incredible, going for the poke comp. So
I am
almost,
curious,
almost
though.
textbook.
Right. We saw in the patch notes we're checking out a little earlier.
Yes, there was an
Farah's
update
boost.
today. So yes, Farah can actually now, at the start of her shift, which is her boost, they have a little bit of direction on where they can go vertically. So it's not always straight up in the air anymore. So, I mean, if you're an experienced player like Flawless, that only benefits you.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what kind of angles Flawless can really get in, because that added boost is huge, right? It's not just straight up and then kind of left, right as you fall down. You can really just diagonally choose an angle. So
It'll be interesting to see. I'm also curious about these Mercy pockets. Both teams opting for a Mercy. One's going to be primarily on the far, and I have to imagine the other one's going to be on the Ash for a good portion of it. So it'll be a lot of pressure on Flawless to get these opening picks, but they've been proven to do it before. We're just trying to create a little bit of chaos through the push.
Joker's little.
Kent State slowly but surely making their way in. Not a lot of resources being used on either side. Just teams waiting to get a pick. I have to say, Racer in a bit of trouble here. Almost gets caught out. Made from flip-flop, trying to save things, but the Kent State's focus fire is just too much. And that's just the opening that Kent State will need, and that's all they're going to need to have to get this point. But Flawless does get the one pick on Abelcard. Hayes does fall, and you have to imagine that Resurrection comes down.
He's still going.
Flawless is still up, but that Immortality is going to shut any chance of a second pick down. So recontest, I think, is possible for NIU, especially with the sleep onto the Hanzo. Steve being the first person to fall. I think NIU.
They just let him have it.
I think they're just going to let him have it and set up for second point. Respawns, and the picks too far apart to get a decent 3, 4, 5 player push onto that point. So payload moves on for Kent State. Begins to move. As the poke just coming on the poke advantage.
Yeah. You see Ash and the Tokotora, that's something that's like, it takes me back, you know?
Yeah. See, they're proven to be incredibly good on this hero. But right now Kent State is winning the poke war. But clearly not as fast paced as the other games Nepal was.
Said he wins the race, you know?
No. We will see.
The fastest bird gets the worm, but the slowest worm doesn't go to the surface and get eaten.
Okay, so Tokotoro finds the pick on a Scatman. Sean Flawless finding two with the barrage. This fight is far from over. Abelcard finds two. And the window from Scatman. Sean gets away with 1 HP. That's tragic.
That was a brutal.
So, even though it wasn't a super clean fight win for Kent State, the cart continues to be pushed forward. Even to get that pick on the BAP that puts them in such a disadvantage for this fight. But as far as we're concerned, as far as matters, Kent State with 5 strong now, going to commit that Bob right away. The bomb Racer just be able to get back into the mech immediately. Actually finds Wild Thing in the middle of Flux. Did not expect that. And the Bob going to find people off high ground. Bob back in the middle of spawn.
Bob backcapping for some reason.
NIU able to clean up and make sure this point does not go away without a fight. Very actually pick. That's a huge pick because that would have been probably at least a 2 or 3 person Flux, and so Kent State opting to play for something a little more faster. So they're making some switches. So Winston and Tracer. So expect a lot of pressure on the flip flop and Hayes. It's going to be Tokotoro is probably going to be the only character that's going to be able to do a good bit of peel. Racer obviously able to make it back there with their defense matrix from time to time, but actually Wild Thing in trouble early. And they're going to have to burn some cooldowns to get out safely, but the healing ultimates going up that much faster. Flawless with a stick on a Vortex, and Racer playing up close to make sure that Resurrect does not come out. They're able to do just that. And the pick onto Icarus from Racer.
That was a nice pick.
More time being ticked off.
Yeah, and I am really curious to see the value come out of this Winston Wild Thing. Just because I think of Racer as, I guess Diva is just like a really good Winston counter, at least from my experience, right? You just fly in his face, you chase down the Winston and just blast him with your like shotgun cannons. So
yeah, it's certainly Diva is a strong
battle,
pick into
honestly.
Winston, and quite literally up here because I think one thing is just the high ground mobility So you have Winston to go up the high ground. You have Tracer has movement ability, but it's more horizontal than vertical. So Wild Thing is kind of alone in these engagements up on high ground.
Hey, you see Alucard, or Blue Card, just trying to get the little back cap there, a little action.
See the nanoed Winston. That might be the exact reason why this pick was gone. This pick was made. Alucard able to find Hayes. Flawless trying to do the same, but it's incredibly hard to take down that Mercy Ash duo. Looks like Kent State gonna be able to take this one. Doesn't look like Racer's gonna commit the Diva Bomb, especially since I don't think they were gonna be able to remech anyways.
It looks like
So
NIU
smart decision to hold on to the ultimates.
To him.
Yeah, you have a few ultimates to work with. Have to try and win some fights, maybe on 1 or 2 ultimates. 2 minutes and 30 seconds from Kent State to be able to push this in. So actually,
ooh, see a
opting
brig.
for the brig. So it's kind of an anti-dive thing. So clearly, Kent State was doing a good job on putting a lot of pressure onto Flip Flop and Hayes. So bit more peel from that pick. Brigida hasn't been incredibly meta, but I don't know if they got any changes recently today. But the bomb saving the team from the saving the team from the Diva Bomb, but the Pulse Bomb finds Flip Flop. And Wild Thing gonna go in and try to make as much space as possible with that Primal Rage, and they're gonna do exactly that.
Yeah, they're just getting pushed back here.
So once again, early ultimates, tempo setting from Kent State.
Well, that was a good stall there.
Yeah,
I'll give it to him.
That is a good stagger. So you might have to recontest this without your Diva, which is not what you want if you're a fan of the Huskies.
Man, NIU, they got 3
I mean,
ults
still
coming in here.
being pushed around and spawn. The Nano going to be going on a Flawless instead of Winston. Trying to hope to find something from it. The stick does find the pick. Flawless able to find 2.
That bubble just blocks
Looks like bubble blocking aside, this fight will go to NIU.
Yeah, Wild Thing's bubble buddy. You know, really stopped.
So a lot of switches. So we're going to see May Lucio instead of Cass. Or May Lucio instead of onto the Cass as well. So
60 seconds on the clock. This is very winnable.
pretty much a
for NIU.
complete comp switch. They're back to the traditional brawl. They think they can take this brawl up close, across that bridge. So to a comfort pick that Kent State is very familiar with, so is NIU. They're actually going to try and take a reverse, kind of flip sides. And the pin finds Toko Toro from long range.
Just sniped him with a charge.
The rally is out from Hayes. Armor trying to keep everybody up, pushing them back in spawn. Flip Flop in a bit of trouble here. On the wall,
no.
going to secure that pick. And as Racer falls too, it looks like Kent State's going to march this card on in. A little bit of a contest from Flawless and Toko Toro, but I don't think it's going to be enough. So as soon as Kent State has, so Kent State little bit of trouble on that 3rd point, especially with their dive comp, but they're very confident, they're very comfortable in that brawl, and it worked out well for them with those hero swaps, even with no ultimates.
Yeah.
They were able to cap that point.
I mean, even with Kent State having a peculiar amount of time left, I think NIU can definitely still come through with a good dub.
Yeah, I mean, you have just about 7 seconds left from Kent State. So with Overwatch rules, if you have a minute or longer to cap and the other team caps in overtime, the team that capped in overtime does not get any additional chance to push, meaning they cannot win, they can only draw or lose. But since NIU got Kent State to go past that minute threshold, it's the door and the opportunity for a win is still very much alive and open, even if NIU ends up needing to cap this one in overtime.
Nice. See Flip Flop here just tearing up the buffet, the tables, and the plants, and the pots.
Who's paying for all this?
Not coming out of my paycheck, that's for sure.
Senya's definitely the pressure on them. You lost a close first game, and you're looking at having to full cap against a very formidable opponent in your second map. But we're all believers here. I know they can do it.
Yeah, so Tokotoro's on Echo. Now, that's one of my personal favorites, right? I've picked up Echo recently. So much fun.
The poke actually almost finds Applecard. But Applecard able to get the better of the DPS duel, so poke battle just going to keep going on as we swap sides even here. Kent State not sticking to that brawl comp. But I don't think you would want to go brawl on this map with all the high ground potential that you have to work with. And they're trying to find something to work. Bit of a coordinated dive. Tokotoro and Racer. Racer just a little bit late. But hopefully trying to melt some things down. Bunch of damage being poked into that room. Vortex able to find Flawless though. And that Mercy protection is a heck of a drug. And they keeping trying to find anything open, but it looks like everything in the kill feed is coming up on this on Kent State's favor. So NIU back to the drawing board. Some kind of coordinated dive is going to have to take place. Racer and Tokotoro are going to have to hit a target at the same time. And even if you successfully find that target at the same time, you have the immortality field that comes out. You go through the immortality field, you're going to have a Mercy Resurrect that you have to block. So
yeah, this is looking like the ultimate
tough comp to crack. Looks like Scatmatch able to get away without using that immortality field. So, and they're positioning themselves as almost as physically far away as possible with as inconvenient of sight lines for NIU. Not a lot to work with, but Tokotoro good to engage.
I smell a copy coming out here.
With this duplicate, the Visor trying to lock on the targets. Racer able to shut it down before any picks comes out from themselves. The Tokotoro and Flip Flop both fallen. It is a back and forth fight here. Flawless able to find Scatman. Can they get through the window?
You tell Flawless is focused right
Vortex on 1 health. And the stick.
Oh no!
They had to confirm the had to confirm the point.
It was still
I'd say
good,
it's worth the life and it's worth the ult.
It was worth the sacrifice.
Setting you with a very healthy time bank. I think I may have heard some yelling from the varsity here. The stick came in, but it secured the pick because remember what happened a couple weeks ago against Ball State, and you thought they had this point full capped. We thought they had a full capped, and then Ball State just turned it around seemingly out of nowhere. So, NIU learning from their past mistakes, committing just a little bit more to make sure they get that point.
Yeah, I mean, Flawless walk-in so the rest of the team can run, right? Now we got point. Now we got cart. We're going to push that all the way to the end, so believers stay strong.
Valkyrie going to allow for a full team damage boost and heal. Mikaris to their teammates. Bob being committed. Racer falls down after the D-Mech. Doesn't find anything. Tokotoro finds a trade on the Wild Thing. Racer's just being burned from both sides. NIU not taking something super committing here. The Echo duplicate ends before Flux is able to land, so...
Yeah, so that cancels the Flux, right?
Yeah.
Stay in that anymore.
So it could have been a pick or two with the Flux.
Really interesting angle Tokotoro's kind of taken there, because not often you check that, but he gets some of these decent poke damage.
Trying to find any kind of opening. It's very hard to make space to work with, especially with all this high ground potential on the second point. But NIU has the right comp for it. They have Echo and Tracer. Mercy able to fly with things. And the pick.
Big pick, yeah.
Wild Thing gets 2 with Flux. Flawless trades it back with such a vital part of this pressure that you need. And Kent State having the respawn advantage. The Kitsune Rush coming out, but Applecard able to find that pick. I believe it's just Sigma left alive. It's just Wild Thing, but the respawn advantage on Kent State's side. But if you could find this tank, but...
Oh, Flawless, a great pick.
Racer gets D-Mech though, and that you lose a whole bunch of space making opportunity with a Baby D.Va compared to an in-mech D.Va, and the Resurrect onto Wild Thing. I think if you're NIU, you have to do a bit of a soft decontest if you can. Racer almost with their mech back. Tokotoro almost finding Applecard, forcing them to use some abilities, and you could tell that was a moment where they pressed Q, but it just wasn't in time. So
yeah, I think he was looking for the mech call, mech call damage.
So I think that fight all stems back from the D-Mech that Wild Thing managed to get onto Racer right before they fell. So you can have a nice Bob to work with. Valkyrie, team-wide damage boost. But they're going to have to play around some good cover. And Racer's going to have to be on top. I know you have to be expecting that Tactical Visor has not come out for a while. So they know it's coming. So it's going to be on Racer with that defense matrix to shut down any chance at multiple picks from Applecard. almost, unless Tokotor can get the job done early. But
Almost.
Wild Thing catching them out in there, and it's such a close position that you know the res is not something that's possible. And res is something that NIU does get. Hayes bringing it back up Tokotoro, but at the same time that allows Flawless to fall. And
See, Tokotoro dodge that rock? That was
Tokotoro
cool.
actually taking down Ablacard, so there's no tactical visor, but Valkyrie is out for both teams. See what damage was. Bomb does find Bob, shutting down another ultimate, but looks like as far as things are concerned, the picks are just coming out from Kent State.
And you got at least the one, maybe two fights if they really, really hustle and get something done. So
Something quick, but I think you're looking at last fight territory here. You're gonna have Duplicate. You're gonna have Bob. Very good, very potentially fight-winning ultimates. Alucard's still with that visor. They've been very, very cautious with it. It does put a huge target on your back whenever you use it. And are you looking to march in through the high ground?
we see two really good DPS
Nothing yet.
ults.
Duplicate is coming out. Tokotoro almost falling. And the Rock would have been perfect to cancel it, but Rock being used early. Kitsune Rush. Alucard. And Wild Thing find a pair of picks, and Alucard gets two with their visor. Looks like Kent State's going to take their second map.
Yeah. That's the stretch I was telling you about, where I love this map. Then I also... Oh, I forgot to update the Kent State score. Whoopsies. Anyways. That's what I was saying, is just that first point of Paraiso, right? Once you get that cart, it's just so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Kent State not giving NIU like really an inch to work with as far as positional mistakes go. They played that second point defense pretty flawlessly.
But we've seen NIU come back a little bit from these 0-2 scores, so I'm thinking the coach Fergod is going to give him one of his
Pen in the locker room speeches.
I don't know. I wish I was out there to hear one of them, because being in here is nice, but I don't know.
Yeah, you have
the
to wonder.
Speeches are something else.
Yeah, you have to wonder what's going through these players' minds.
Right. I mean, because you said this is a team that NIU regularly scrims.
Yeah.
Right. So they're pretty
And
familiar with their
they
play
do
styles.
they do trade wins back and forth pretty consistently. So NIU does have it in them to win 3 maps in a row. They've done it against this team this year. Obviously, scrims are a much more laid back and a different environment than an esports collegiate match, but it has been done, and it can be done again. But they'll have to, like I said against Western Michigan, they're gonna have to treat it as 3 individual best of ones. Don't look at what you have to do ahead to win. Look at what you have to do this next map. So you have to start thinking about a payload map, full escort, before you could start thinking about push and ultimately another control map. So, and you're discussing things over,
and I just chatting,
seeing what map, with a map that with a result like that, you probably take some time, just take a breather, kind of do a mental reset, and go into map 3 with a fresh mind.
That's all I could do sometimes. So, what do you think this next map's gonna be? What are you looking? What's your prediction?
Rialto, easy.
Really? Wow.
I think I mean, Rialto is proven to be quite a good map for Brawl. So it depends. Does NIU feel more confident in their non-Brawl comps with that Farmers do with all the vertical cover, or do they feel more confident in allowing Kent State to not play that Brawl comp as much? We've seen that is, definitely far from a one-trick Kent State is with Brawl. They've been proven to play anything and everything, but that Brawl comp is especially strong for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm really curious to see where it goes, what happens. It's been kind of radio silent in the game right now.
A lot of discussion happening out of game chat.
Yeah, I guarantee you one of those speeches is happening right now, where I can see it. I can see him standing up at his podium, hand on a religious text saying, guys, we scrim these people. We know what they're doing. I'm expecting some map wins.
Would not be surprised to see NIU take make it as hard as for Kent State as possible to get this win. They're not going to make it easy, and they haven't so far. You know, a bit of a stalling attack from NIU on that second point, but otherwise, it's been incredibly competitive so far.
Right.
Close 2-0 so far.
Silly little game. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of silly little gamers, you know, playing a silly little game. On our silly little computers, our silly little campuses. That's my favorite thing, right? Just saying silly little and then
insert noun.
Yeah, insert noun.
Silly little Perezzo.
Yeah. There's silly little Farah. There's silly little buffs today. But was that a cheer outside I just heard a couple seconds ago, or am I just crazy?
Could have been. I know there's other teams playing.
Is it the heat of this room is getting me a little wild?
So while our teams are discussing map picks and sides, well, actually we'll be right back in just a moment. We are back. So, NIU, you're right, opting for that Rialto pick. So it'll be a battle of the Far Mercy potentially. I mean, the Far Mercy.
Called a dogfight. What's that show on the History Channel? My brother always watched it. He was a big fan. It was like dogfights or something. There's like a bunch of planes flying around, and it was really like historic. And
They might have had one of our streams on, to be honest.
yeah, they actually had Flawless in the air for a little bit.
Actually, Flawless opting for the Sojourn. So Sojourn actually getting a pretty interesting nerf today. So they actually increased her hitbox size, so she's easier to hit.
The Widowmaker is the same. Her hitbox is
still very slender.
Yeah.
So double, not perhaps hit scan per se, but we'll say the pseudo hit scan. Yeah, and you have to wonder what's going through Tokotor's mind right now. Certainly got to be different than what's going in mind in game.
Yeah.
Quite literally in the mind.
What is going on in his mind?
But double sniper with the Mercy pocket from Kent State, so they're opting for that long range poke arm. So they need to stay off that brawl for the defense at the very least. NIU gonna try and win this poke war. They're gonna have to if they want to send this to a map 4. Continuing to march forward. Bit of a Sigma mirror here. A lot of Sigma play as of late. NIU might be opting try and mirror it, try to make something work. Look at what's working for Kent State. Try to replicate that.
Ooh, that's a good shield to block the rock.
Poke battle still going up. NIU struggling for health just a little bit more, but both sides are getting healed up immediately. It's gonna take some burst damage to take any of these teams out, especially with how well skilled both team supports are. Still no pick. So actually a minute into this game, and we got our first pick. Alucard finds Flawless, but it might honestly even get resurrected. Racer actually able to find Wild Thing, so the tank does fall for Kent State. NIU, great opportunity to push forward. They do have to melt this Bob. It looks like they're be able to do just that. But as the Baba is a distraction, Icarus does get the res on the Wild Thing, and that's all they need to make this attack fall apart.
And I used to just kind of push off.
So every team member turning around to focus the Bob, which granted was a good decision. Bob was going to melt you down, but allows just enough room for Icarus to come in and get that res. There's only one ultimate being committed in that fight. Actually, I corrected one fight from Kent, one ultimate from Kent State being committed. You know, trying to be on the right side of that opening pick this time. The Nano. Oh no, Nano. That is a burning effect. So Ablacard being lifted up into the air. Flux does not find anything. Immortality field just in the nick of time from Scatman Sean. And he was able to get some picks, but Kent State,
as well, yeah.
they're not making this. Not making this easy. They're getting picks slow. So NIU does get the opening pick, but Kent State just able to turn around each time.
Had a dream.
NIU just cannot get close enough, or cannot find those critical headshots that Kent State are finding right now.
I'm really curious to see what they do about this. I mean, something's got to change, right? And we've seen a couple changes on the comp. It'll be flawless on the Ashe now.
And not a comp. We've seen variations very similar to this comp from NIU before, but I'm not sure if we've seen this exact composition. And Flip Flop almost falling down early, has to burn. And so, and opting to try and take that high ground. Poking up and Vortex just finds a headshot. But the res does come out. Just enough space to get a safe res there. Both teams at full strength. Mercy Valkyrie is up from both sides. Not to say, Toko Toro with the duplicate trying to make something happen. Dragons come out, try to split up the team. Wild Thing does find the pick. With
but the Bob.
The Bob finds. Bob gets a couple.
Bob just has such a good range.
The sixth team member. Bob making it 6v6 momentarily. And then Flawless opting last effort. Go Tracer, try to cause some disruption in that back line from a flank angle, because it doesn't seem to be working for NIU from the front. Window trying to find some kind of opening to work with. Does burn Immortality field right away. Vortex finding the pick on the Toko Toro in the air. Been incredible on that Hanzo for this defense. And then with Ablacard getting another headshot. The DPS from Kent State have just been absolutely incredible on this defense. And the Window going to secure this payload.
Yeah, big
for Kent
pick
State.
on Racer there. NIU, not much you can do against this timer, which is... That felt slow for the timer. I don't know if that was just me or my brain right now, but that was a slow timer at the end.
Score 0-0. Switching sides.
So
Initiating match.
and he's going to have to get a full hold here on this first point if they want to send this to another map. We have maybe allowed to lose one team fight in total.
Mm-hmm. These beautiful sculptures.
It is beautiful.
The art of video games.
Modern contemporary art.
Did you know?
Ready.
I mean, Kent State came with is coming with their A game today, for sure. I mean, I just gotta commend that DPS line. They're just finding the picks that they need to work with. Like I said, folks, it's not over yet. So, and you're trying for a different comp. I'm personally a fan because I mean, the comps that you're running weren't working. So, try something new, or rather try something familiar. We've seen a composition of this similar style, maybe with our Mantra instead of a Doomfist, but
I am seeing a
sometimes.
Junkrat. Never mind. Never mind. I was about to make a cool comment,
we swapped the Junkrat for the flying Junkrat instead.
Stop the payload.
And you
You know, we call those pigeons in Chicago. But
yeah. And you're trying one more thing, one last composition. If it works, you go to a map 4. And Racer finds the pick on a Scatman Sean. Tokotor going to try and deny that resurrection. Tokotor does exactly that. Icarus falls. So NIU going to take this first fight. But you have to try and not only win the fights, but win the fights with minimal damage and minimal deaths. Any opening, the spawn advantage is on Kent State's side right now. So you have to win these fights, and you have to win these fights clean if you want to stay alive in this match.
Yeah, and he was just continuously poking and poking.
Yeah, Flawless doing a good job weaving around that vertical cover. Flip-flop very much in, has to burn both cooldowns to get out, and they don't even do that. So the opening that Kent State's need is there, and they're going to play on that aggression. Poke comp regardless. NIU being forced further back and back. Everyone on such low health. Kent State not going to let up. Wild Thing finding the pick on a Tokotoro. Wild Thing continuing to move into this area. But if they have the support that they need, it's going to let them get out, actually. And the Immortality Field secures that fact. I don't think NIU is going to be able to touch here. And Kent State marches it in.
Yeah, I mean, just throws in the towel.
So Kent State, very strong showing this week. So our scrim partners, have gotten the better of us today. But looking ahead to see what NIU learns from this. This is I don't think the team expected for the matchup to go this way. But like I said, every loss is a learning opportunity. But congratulations to Kent State. Played a heck of a game, but I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, both teams put in their effort. Kent State, like you already said, came through with the dub, but good games, Kent State. As the kids call it, GG's.
Yep. So upsetting if you're a Husky fan, but NIU still very much alive. Their playoff chances, I wouldn't worry about them just yet. It's not time to hit the panic mode. NIU still with a winning record.
Yeah.
And with top 8 teams making playoffs, there's still plenty of room for NIU to work with to have some postseason fun.
Some postseason shenanigans.
So, looking ahead to tomorrow, we have a broadcast going on tomorrow. So, back-to-back games. We'll be live. We'll be live on Twitch. We'll be going up against Ohio University. Should be another good competitive match. And then our League of Legends team will also have a match tomorrow, but that will be recorded and then broadcasted and premiering live on our YouTube channel at a later date. So,
rare NIU Overwatch game on Wednesday.
Yes,
That's
the
cool.
only one on Wednesday for the year.
Wow.
But
be there or you will miss out. Yep.
Double ESC action coming out. So, thank you everyone for watching. Have a wonderful night and take care.
Yeah. See you, everyone.